I ultimately won full custody of my daughter, but I had to financially ruin her disabled mother to do it. It all started when I noticed my daughter, Sophie, had stopped dancing. For years, I genuinely believed I was doing the right thing. My ex-girlfriend, Clara, and I share our 15-year-old daughter, Sophie. About 4 years ago, Clara was in a terrible accident that left her wheelchair-bound. That tragedy curdled into resentment directed squarely at me. She couldn't stand to see me work out or play sports, so to keep the peace, I gave up almost everything physical. It wasn't enough. After a year of counseling led nowhere, we broke up. Even after we split, I kept her on the private insurance policy I'd taken out for our family years ago. It had been a lifesaver during her accident, and I knew she couldn't find work and wouldn't be able to afford her treatments otherwise. We had 50-50 custody, and for the first couple of years, it seemed fine. I watched carefully to make sure her resentment for me didn't spill over onto our daughter, and it didn't seem to, so I relaxed. Then, about 6 months ago, Sophie came to stay with me for her half of the year. I was shocked. She seemed deeply depressed and had put on a noticeable amount of weight. Now, Sophie is a ballerina, and while she wasn't overweight, this change was drastic for her. It turned out Clara had forbidden her from dancing, claiming Sophie was just trying to rub her face in it. Since Clara used to do ballet herself, the ban extended to all physical activities, sports, exercise, everything. This reveals Clara's greatest fatal flaw, her inability to separate her own tragedy from her daughter's life, a bitterness that would ultimately cost her everything. Sophie just broke down. She told me things had gotten so bad over the past few months that she was scared to even walk around the house. She spent most of her time hiding in her room, only coming out for meals. Through her tears, she begged me to go to court to get full custody of her. One commenter put it perfectly, at this point, there are no rules or obligations more important than that plea. A child begged to get out of their situation, and a parent's job is to make that happen. But my lawyer gave me a grim reality check. Sophie's opinion would matter in court, but getting 100% custody in my state was nearly impossible unless I could prove Clara was an incompetent mother. So I made a ruthless decision. I dropped Clara from my insurance policy. Liam made a decision at that moment that would change all of their lives. This single, calculated act of desperation was the only move on the board that could lead to his daughter's salvation. Clara, unable to find a job, was devastated. Her savings were quickly wiped out by the cost of her medical treatments. It reached a point where she couldn't afford basic necessities for herself, let alone for Sophie. That's when I filed for sole custody. Given her dire financial situation, the ongoing pandemic, and Sophie's clear preference, the judge awarded me full custody, with only supervised visitation for Clara. Her legal representation was poor, a direct result of the financial ruin I had engineered. I did a terrible thing to save my child. I left a vulnerable, disabled person without medical insurance in her time of greatest need. I know I did what I had to do to protect Sophie, but I did it by taking advantage of her mother's disability and medical expenses. Sophie is happy now, thriving and dancing again, but Clara thinks I'm a manipulative monster. As another commenter said, I saved my daughter's life and her mental health. Protection of a child has to outrank the protection of a manipulative person, but my conscience is heavy. The end result is what matters, but the methods continue to haunt me. This story highlights that a parent's first and foremost responsibility is to their child, even if the path to securing their well-being is fraught with morally complex choices. So, I ask you, where is the line? What would you be willing to do to save your child from a toxic environment?